Welcome back to the Grindhouse Massacre tournament. The match we're currently looking at is Reminiscent versus Sympathy. Sympathy's RK is playing Executioner on Wrecker's Yard against Reminiscent's Survivor Squad of Deco, Slamagama, Polito, and Vamp. Due to the delay caused by technical difficulties and name-based rules and factions, Reminiscent has received a low-tier penalty, which is half a hook stage. It is 0.5 hook stages. I believe this will show on the between match screen, but I'll do my best to keep you up to date as well. We have Sympathy from Arcade looking for survivors and finally finding one. It is Slamagama on the Ace, choosing to not take the goop and dodges the M2 power as a result, then gets the goop and the stun, gets a lot of distance, trading that for stepping in to the Rites of Judgment. Speaking of Rites of Judgment, the add-on we see, you have green range and increased Rite of Judgment duration by 2 seconds. We've seen quite a few different add-ons in the second slot. We've seen Sloppy, we've seen double range. But here we see an M1 through a pallet and the survivor going back to the bus. Arcade is choosing to hold down the power zone and misses another M2, giving Slamagama the ability to go into this deep edge of Wrecker's Yard. This is the place that you want to die on this map, in the corrupt, in a deep pocket, away from all the generators that are being done. And now here you had a weak filler tile, hard for a lot of killers to deal with this, as we do see the first generator pop in the distance before the first down coming in. And the second as well. Still stuck at this pallet, but stalling RK for so much time. Eventually does get to leave as RK goes for power and stops zoning Slamma. 2 gens have popped. Corrupt has ended. RK has to get it down to get Muckstall down. Pain Res and Pop, both relying on you getting the down the hook. Slamagama thinking they're going down the pallet, emoting to stay in the pallet for a pallet save, but not getting hit, stall some more time, and a cage. You'll see most Executioners not cage on the first down so they can get Pain Res and Pop and deny certain unhook based perks that are more important on the second one. But we see the cage, because they were under the pallet, immediately into a chase onto Vamp, and a quick hit, as we do see Slamma get uncaged across the map. We're back at this tile that already has goop in it. Vamp trying to avoid the goop, and also successfully avoiding the M2. Executioner looking up to dodge the Firecracker, still gets hit by it. A Shack Pallet gets pre-dropped and broken. Now we're gonna see on Wrecker's Yard macro, the survivors swap where they want that death location. We saw Slamma go to the 1 deep pocket to get 2 gens on this side of the map done, and now you see Vamp doing the opposite, dying on this deep section of the map, pulling Executioner far away from the gens they want to defend. Vamp doing a great job at that God Rock, stalling for a long time, not taking any health states, making it all the way back to this tile already used by Slamma. And Arcade does get a power as the 3rd gen pops, a 4th gen pops for a second hook stage. This is the time you expect killers to be getting a kill, not a second hook on a different survivor. We do see the last 3 gens left on the map. We see 2 next to each other. That third one should be all the way across the map though. These survivors doing a great job with their generator macro and not dropping too many resources. We have seen some pallets dropped, but not enough to be too scary to loop at. RK goes far enough away from the hook to patrol their 3 gen. The unhook comes in what it appears to be safely. And now these survivors are in a 4v1 in a loose 3 gen, going to be very difficult to get a lot of pressure, especially when powers aren't hitting. And now we go against one of Executioner's least favorite activities, dealing with loops with elevation changes, as powers don't work well through it. Then into a loop that Pyramid Head prefers, a very predictable window vault. But the reason for this is trying to get farther away from these generators survivors are trying to finish. See somebody hovering for the save, scares them off just enough to get the hook, and that would be the second pain res. This hook location isn't the best. It's far away from your 3-gen, but you have to take a hook you can safely get to, especially one that's a pain res, to slow that generator down by about 20 to 25%. And we see RK leave a chase. More concerned about this generator, as we do see Deco is broken. And now we see RK apply pop. I believe this is the first time that they have been able to apply pop. And now survivors know corrupt, they know pain res, they should know agitation. Unsure if a survivor was close enough to call that was pop, as we see Deco's second wind give them the heal. Polito now the only ancient survivor. But we do see Vamp here as well. Here's where we start to see scary situations. An ancient survivor in the 3-gen, and RK zoning them. M2 and Pallets having an interesting interaction, but Vamp manages to make it out alive. If Vamp goes down there, that's a hook in the 3-gen, gives RK a lot more ability to camp that hook, pressure the unhook and the gens at the same time. Instead, we see Vamp able to loop at this God Rock away from the generators. That's the important thing here. Vamp choosing to go back closer to this generator, which likely means one across the map is being worked on by one if not two survivors, and the down comes on to Vamp. We see RK pick up, because even though the cage would be faster, you need to have this hook in your 3-gen. A cage would go across the map, and also to give you pop so you have a chance to defend these generators. Getting 4 or even 5 stages on a pyramid head is not enough against this high level of team, and we see the last generator pop, and this is RK's nightmare situation. The last gen pops, Vamp gets unhooked. In any situation, you shouldn't see this killer get 7 stages or more with this situation. We do see somebody else coming in, making sure, trying to juggle hits, get people to the exit gate that should be being worked on. Polito taking chase at Shaq. Going down, I believe that is the last fresh hook, which for the situation is the best RK can hope for, unless someone's hovering here for the pallet save. Somebody was, but they don't get it. If Polito gets hooked, that's the 4th fesh. That's going to be very important for win conditions. We do see these survivors healing. They might be wanting to go for a save. As RK gets a back basement hook, that'll be the 4th fesh hook, even though it's the 5th stage. If they leave Polito here for it to be 7 stages 4 fesh, with how those first few gens were going, that's a very good result for RK and Sympathy. We see all 3 survivors chose to heal instead of leaving. They likely want to try to save, but trying to save against a pyramid head, just sending your power down the stairs to take 1, 2, or even 3 health states is scary. As we do see Vamp run in deep in. Vamp wants to die for Polito if possible. Vamp is worth less hook stages still. Polito put in deep bone and gets 2-tapped. Risky a save attempt by these survivors. Didn't have enough bodies down in basement. Should have tried to take a hit, run back up and have somebody else go for it. And now you get a final judgment on Vamp. And another hook onto Polito, and these survivors have realized this is too much, we can't risk more. Looking at 8 stages for fresh, and with the penalty it should be 8.5 stages for fresh. I will update you at the beginning of the next match, but we'll see what these teams can do next match. Welcome back to Reminiscent versus Sympathy Executioner Wrecker's Yard. We just saw Sympathy's killer get 8 hook stages with a plus 0.5 as a result of the penalty. So we see that Reminiscent's Vamp playing Executioner needs to get 9 stages for the win, regardless of fresh hooks, against this Sympathy Survivor Squad of Citro, Mars, Tippy, and CEO. We see Vamp looking in one of these deep pockets of Wrecker's Yard. and spotting someone significantly faster than last match, and a much faster first hit onto Mars. We'll see where this chase goes. Pallet already dropped. Vamp trying to make sure that this hit goes through, and it does. Manages to zone it. Welcome to Pyramid Head zoning, and a much faster first down than last game. Extremely unlikely that any gen pops. These survivors would have had to triple it, and this hook is close enough to Shack with agitation that Vamp gets a basement hook super early into the match. That is going to be a very hard task to get Mars out safely without at least 1-for-1ing. You might even need to send in 2 survivors and still might not get everyone out of the Shack alive, as we see immediately as Vamp walks away, somebody back into Shack, instantly getting the unhook. This is what you need to get these survivors out of basement. Trying to wait out the built-in borrowed time of 10 seconds. We're just playing a waiting game, and Mars goes down. Vamp gets the hit, and now we have a cage onto Mars. This might be a very fast tunnel out, as cages do not give the built-in borrowed time. If Vamp sees Mars get uncaged, as of right now, going straight back to it, no borrowed time, but we do see the For the People from Tippy coming in as the first generator pops. Great that a generator pops, but it's very scary as Mars is already death hook. Your For the People is used. You don't have many resources for Mars to work with people-wise. You just have to rely on Mars to get a good chase. And here's going to be the first hit now. Could not take the window in the face of an Executioner. Could not reach the pallet. And we see Mars now almost stuck at these buses against a lot of killers. This setup with the back window is strong, but against a Pyramid Head, it's a lot weaker, as you just get hit in the back with a sword. And we're gonna see a first kill come very quickly. Unless the firecracker save comes in, it explodes, but does not blind Vamp. And Mars goes down, sent back to the campfire. 1 generator done for the first kill. A massive difference than last game, where the first kill came after endgame collapse already started. This is looking like a great match for Vamp. Irregardless of the penalty, this is going to be difficult for these survivors. They have to pop all 5 gens, and they just now pop the second. Tippy is injured from that For the People usage. The broken has ended, but the only thing broken right now is this survivor team's hopes and dreams of winning the set, as we already have another down coming in. A hook deep in this pocket. With agitation, we'll be able to get the hook in a much better position, going all the way from the deep pocket next to a high progress generator that gets hit by pain res. Vamp can just sit and watch this generator regress as Tippy's bar goes down so slowly. But for these survivors, it's gonna feel so fast. Even if both of them commit to a generator, that's still only going to be popping 4, and then you're in a 2v1 against a Pyramid Head with the chase potential to make sure no one pops any more generators. They're gonna have to start coming and thinking about going for the save. But Vamp is just gonna be camping it. Well, let's see what these survivors are choosing to do right now, and they are choosing to get the unhook. That is not Deliverance, that is second win. Deliverance is not allowed against Pyramid Head. So before anybody in chat decides to be a wise guy, I'll help you out a little bit. But we do see Tippy make it far away from these generators, back to where they want to go down, but with agitation, it's not going to be as helpful. And as Tippy's second win comes through, Vamp leaves, knows that Tippy is so far away from these gens that somebody is going to be working on one of these 5 generators, all contingent with each other, all next to each other. Sees this one back at high progress, knows that was regressing when the unhook came in, so somebody is still lurking around after getting that unhook. Just don't know where they are. They could be stealthing, they could be gone. Vamp does a double back and catches off Citro. And now we do know where 2 of those survivors are. And hopefully we'll see their faces in a second instead of blind shots through walls. But one of those blind shots through walls hits an ace. And that will be a Halcyon to Citro as these two other survivors having to work gens. As Citro goes down, we do see one more generator pop in the distance, but again, pacing wise for hooks to generators, you're still so far behind the pace of last match. You do have a very good 3 generator setup to hold with Shaq and those 2 adjacent ones. The hook is next to the 4th over here. So we see Vamp looking around for people stealthing for the unhook already as the unhook does come in. Vamp not choosing to immediately chase after those survivors, choosing to take a look at these generators again. And now we will see, no, we will not see. Going back over to this gen that we knew previously was high progress and that got kicked, and it does pop. This is going to be a much more difficult 3 gen for Vamp to hold. And now we start to see the light at the end of the tunnel. 5 stages, 1 gen left, 1 survivor in chase with 2 working on a generator. That means a generator can pop in about 45 to 50 seconds. Vamp has to get a fast down and get a pain res, but I think Tippy's pain res was already used. Yes, Tippy's pain res was already used. And at this point, Vamp has to start thinking about that last generator, but you do have Noah in your back pocket. So with this down, choosing to slug and go back to the gen doesn't want to lose it yet. Tippy was only hooked once so far. That would be 2 stages to get you up to 7, but you need 9 as the last gen does come through. And we do start to see Noed. Here's that surprise card at the end of the match that might change greatly how this result is. And we do see the hit onto CEO come in. There it is. And CEO is a fresh hook. Getting Tippy and CEO would be 10 stages. That would be enough for the win, even with the penalty. But Vamp wants more. Vamp wants the ace. Vamp wants Citro. Vamp wants the 4KO. That's what Vamp's looking for here. Unbreakable, I do not believe is allowed. So the pressure onto the ace means that the pickup is not coming through. So Vamp has a nice, fun game. It's a nice shooting gallery. And we can just start counting the misses as these survivors did not have the gate prepped in time. Noed being the difference in this match. The knowledge that you don't have to 4K means you can bring Noed, because the end game, it's fine if the survivors get to it, and it means you get these extra stages. If you don't have Noed there, maybe you get 7, maybe you get 8, but with Noed, you get 12. And that is the difference of this match. Unless something very unusual happens, like wiggling off against an Agitation Executioner, this will be it. Reminiscent, even with the penalty, will take the Executioner set, and then we will go to their pick, Plague on Suffocation Pit 1 for the next set, and we'll see if Sympathy has a response, because clearly Reminiscent had one for their pick. And just to add salt to the wound, there's the hatch close. And there's the last survivor officially dying. So we will be back shortly with Plague Suffocation Pit 1, Reminiscent killing first. Reminiscent up 1-0. Here we are on Suffocation Pit 1 for the Plague set of Reminiscent versus Sympathy. As every viewer is instantly looking, that is no mither on CEO. For the rest of the introduction, we have Vamp from Reminiscent killing first. Reminiscent took the first set. That was Sympathy's pick, and Sympathy is surviving Mars, Tippy, Phantom, and CEO. Suffocation Pit is very much a 3-gen map with a good divide in the middle, and welcome to the no mither equivalent of the Deli Curse. No mither gets found first. But will someone be hunting for the save? That is how no mither is played. And there's the bout save. No Mither and pallet saves. What a joy. While we have a split second, the add-ons are increased red puke duration, and I believe there's one more corrupt pool, but not one more empty pool. So we also see Ruin and Pentimento. Vamp very much wanting to make sure Ruin or some hard 3-gen gen regression perk is in the game, as we do see now 3 infected survivors as Vamp is chasing Mars over by Shaq. Because of the quick no mither down, corrupt is over, so these survivors get to choose wherever they want to go, as we do see 3 gens on both sides, and I believe might have 4. Unsure, we'll get a better look in a second. Looks to be a few closer to the middle, so no super hard 4-gen, just a 3-gen on the main building side. We do have 3 survivors and fully infected and broken. 1 already was, but we won't talk about no mither, as Vamp walks around with red puke, with corrupt puke. That scary plague power that misses. That looked weird, but CO should still be going down here shortly, and does. Again, this is the no mither player. We have the locker check. Let's hope that was just a very fast spacebar to pick up, aimed in the wrong direction, or someone very concerned about a head-on play. And now we do see the first hook on the no mither. That was pain res, as Vamp has lost a stack of it. But the hook not in the 3-gen Vamp wants to hold, so instantly leaving. We do hear progress on these generators. Ruin still up. Red puke still active from that add-on, giving 20 more seconds. Throwing off these survivors' timings. And Vamp does manage to get a great shot. Tippy trying to go down into where the main building basement would be. But basement is at Shack. But regardless, an attempt at a dodge of the last bit of Vamp's red puke, already getting add-on value. But the cost of that chase is losing one of the generators that a killer should be holding on this map. You lose your main side 3-gen. That is big. That is more important than that fast down, in my personal opinion. And now we do see the only healthy survivor in chase, and getting the stun to avoid getting infected. That's going to be a very, hopefully, good resource used, as Phantoms dodges another puke but doesn't dodge the next. Make sure to get out of that corner. If you get infected and stuck there, you can get zoned for a very long time. If you run too fast, you get more puke, so you just have to sit at that corner as infection ticks down on your ability to loop. So that stun, getting Phantom out of that corner, means that Vamp does not commit to try to get these 2 hooks on this side. Does lose another generator, trying to camp out Tippy to second stage. Does not have red puke for it. The only corrupt pool all the way across the map on the Shack side. We do see a survivor trying to get it. The only healthy survivor. Otherwise, that would have been a very easy swing for a trade, as Tippy does hit second from Vamp's body block. Phantom, it's a matter of time before you are broken and forcing Locker to make sure that you can't slug Phantom. That likely means that as one survivor is popping the generator, another's looking to save Tippy, but we don't see the unhook yet. That play was designed to make sure that Tippy gets unhooked, but it doesn't come in time. The down was too fast, the Locker force was too early. As we do see survivors now trying to rotate over to get either of these survivors off the hook, and we spot the other 2 moving survivors. Vamp is in complete control of the situation. Knows giving up Phantom's okay, giving up Tippy is a lot. We see all 3 survivors again, one going for the unhook, one on the other side. We're going to start to see some trades, trying to use borrowed time as a health state, as they get the unhook on the Tippy last second. And gonna try to get Tippy all the way across the map, but you have 2 slugs, but one of them's no mither. Remember, even though you can't see it from the plague infection, CEO is no mither. CEO will be able to pick themselves up to pick up Phantom as Vamp goes for this play. That is why CEO was willing to take that down so easily. That is the value of no mither in a plague set. Plague wants to snowball, and that is what No Mither can deny so well for such a short loss. But maybe it's not enough, as if Tippy goes down here, we'll see. Stuck to the corner, Red Puke active. Gonna be hard to get out of this. Tippy dies in a corner to give these survivors time to organize themselves. But you do still have the death and the tunnel going on to Tippy very quickly, and as we walk by the ruin totem, nobody is cleansing it. So you have ruin up safely in a 3v1 on Suffocation Pit. This is what this build is designed for. It's not designed for the 4v1. The 4v1 is great. You have pain res to make sure that you get to this point, but the 3v1 in this set with ruin up is your goal, and Vamp is just ready to play for it. We see the main corner piece pallet dropped and broken. Ruin taking away at that generator. As we still have Red Puke active again, Vamp getting great value from the timings of this add-on. Survivor tries to go for the stun, but doesn't do it. And tries again, but also fails. CEO again, this is the No Mither Survivor. Hard to keep track of that. Hooked next to 2 of these generators, but not 3. These survivors could both be on the 2 all the way across the map. Vamp forced to patrol this one due to the high progress, and does catch out a survivor here. Oh no. If you get this swing, you see one survivor off in the distance completing the gen, as Phantom looking to have a short chase. Vamp gets the down, and now CEO, the No Mither Survivor, is on the hook, so no one will be able to pick themselves up. Unbreakable not allowed in most Plague sets, and we do see Mars is going to be denied off the unhook. This might be game. That is the match. Unless something catastrophic happens, Vamp will secure the 4K1. Vamp with 2 4Ks in this matchup. A 4KO on Executioner, nodding like they heard me. 4K1 on Plague, but it's a lot more reasonable to be able to hold this as a Plague. If you get 4 gens on the top side and can hold it well, this is still a completely winnable tie condition. And this map is large enough you can make hack plays if somebody is forced to be hooked topside. So as these timers tick away, you have to start thinking you can't run NOED as a safety net. You have to have 4 perks to hide this. As all the artist mains look away, this bird's gonna be infected soon. Oh no, the bird is broken. No, the bird is injured for the rest of the match. But the match that we care more about is this next one, as Sympathy's killer will go against these Reminiscent Survivors. A 4K1 tie condition. 4K1 with hatch, or a 4K2 for the win. But 4K1 would still send us to the tiebreaker set. But we'll see how that turns out up next. Welcome back to Set 2, Match 2 of Reminiscent Sympathy. We just saw Reminiscent's killer get a 4K1. That will be the tie condition for this set. Now we have Sympathy's killer. It's Phantom against Reminiscent's survivors of Palito, Slamming Shimakama, Deco, and Vamp. Vamp on the No Mither. We see both teams having used this, and we see those auras from Undying getting great value from that perk already. It's just there to help defend that ruin. Instead, we see a lack of Corrupt. So Phantom worrying much more about ruin and the late game than the early game, as we get a good early down onto Vamp No Mither. And no pallet save coming in from this side. The lack of Corrupt not causing too much damage because of how fast that down was. So we'll see if this is a pain res hook. It is not a pain res hook. And Phantom is, there we go. Phantom almost not infecting Vamp. Just to make sure in case that comes in later. And that does, you see by the scoring event, that did actually hit the generator across the hill. And now we see how many gens are on this top side? Is that 3, 4? There's 4 gens on the top side. This is enough for you to hold, never have to venture down to the bottom. The only problem with that is one of your totems is down there. Unsure if both are down bottom side. Looks like both are down bottom side. So you get to play for this 4 gen, but you're gonna lose your totems very easily. We do see Deco is now infected. That gives a hint for Phantom to know that Deco is somewhere that they were infected, so likely on the top side. And we do see the Undying cleansed. Undying, of course, always going first. The survivors letting Vamp go to second, it appears, as somebody should be on Phantom's screen if they wanted to get the unhook, but they choose not to. Now Phantom securing second, going over to check these gens. We see the ruin start on that gen, so we just saw somebody hop off. And we do see ruin is now cleansed. We do have 2 white totem slots for the Pentimento, but Phantom choosing not to worry about those. Much more concerned about Vamp dying on hook. You give up 1 gen on this top side, but you still have 3 to hold. That's how many you have to hold to get this 4k1 tie condition and force this into tiebreaker. Tries to get the infection onto Polito and does not choosing to commit for much. And a good duck to dodge the puke by Polito. Now we see Slam Jamma coming in. We see 2 people trying to get this save, and someone should be able to. That's a lot of infection onto Polito, but not all of it. Now there's the rest onto Polito, and we see the potential for a snowball. Polito already down. Vamp, the death hook, no mither, running for the life, and we see that 4th survivor, the one that wasn't coming for the unhook, all the way across the map, finishing that generator. Phantom hoping that they came to the pallet, but they were not. And Polito gets picked back up. Choosing to journey down into this bottom side of the map. Got a pallet gym against the Plague, but gets the M1. And this is Vamp, this is the tunnel out. This is the death onto Vamp, unless someone is here for the save. Likely looking to get a pain res hook, because this will be the last time to get Vamp's pain res. You should see that number tick down to 3. And we do. Now Phantom, seeing these 2 white Pentimento slots, when you're on this half of the map, you're gonna pop 1 or both. You're gonna only pop 1. You're gonna save that second one to get a second single stack later, it appears. Or just wanting to get red and get back to this top side of the map faster. These are the 3 easiest generators to hold. No ruin to have these things tick away. And as a result of that journey down to the shack half of the map, you will lose 1 of these generators. Gonna make it a lot harder for Plague to patrol all of these gens. You can only give up 1 more. If you give up both, the game is over. The match is over. So Sympathy holding on to at least 3 of these 4 generators is important. Equally important is this chase, as Polito does go down, still leaving Plague half of the red corrupt purge left, as we do see the Pentimento getting cleansed. Phantom now walking back down to the other Pentimento totem to check on these gens and get some more generator stall. And here you see Deco, the rat for the rest of the game, making sure not to be seen. You'd expect this by the playstyle, most likely to be the Deja Vu survivor, but they do get the vault out of shack, and Phantom drops Chase, goes back to get Pentimento, and now is going to try to pick back up on Chase, no longer with corrupt puke. Manages to re-find Deco. Going for another fresh hook, going for another pain res. Likely gonna try to juggle these. Chooses to vault even without bamboozle. This pallet should be dropped. There will be. Plague with no corrupt is an M1 killer, but oh! That was a delayed reaction by Deco, causes the down. And now Phantom gets another pain resonance hook. Slamma the last fresh hook, the last pain res. But fresh hooks aren't going to be important. This 4K1 tie condition is the bar that is set. Looking around, seeing no one at the gen, but seeing there is one survivor on the backside of main building. This chase is far enough away from the hook. There is the unhook. You do see the survivor vault. This loop right here is why you'll see a lot of plagues think about running Bamboozle, but choosing to focus a lot more on general aggression than the M1 chase. Because you get to zone at pallets like this. This will likely be a pre-drop by Polito, but doesn't have enough distance to safely pre-drop it, and as a result goes down for it. And this is Polito's second hook. Phantom choosing to carry them closer to the middle so they can patrol this along with the very wide 4 gens left, as the last Pentimento being cleansed in the distance. No more Ruin, no more Undying, no more Pentimento. You have one pain res on Slamma, and the rest is just perkless Plague. Sees this generator with some progress, gets the kick on it, and will get what I believe is the last corrupt pool on the map. You'll notice that in comp, survivors do not cleanse very frequently. Knowing how strong Plague with a red puke knows what they're doing is, and you see a survivor, Deco, jump into basement, down the stairs, likely to proc balance landing to get more distance. But because you use your balance landing for that, you don't have it for that hill if that's the exhaustion you're running. But regardless, it means you don't get hit immediately through the shack door frame. But we should see Deco going down in a second here. Deco should not make the window, and choosing to go down into basement to force Plague into hooking in basement, or at least walk longer to any other hook. Phantom not wanting the basement hook, wanting a hook that's easier to see people running to, I presume. And this will be Deco's second hook. Slamma is a fresh hook. Polito and Deco both sitting death hook. Based on how long these chase was bottom side, at least one of these generators should be close, but it doesn't matter if you find someone so fast. Polito getting found stealthing to the corner, trying to go for the unhook, and that's a death hook survivor. But choosing this, thinking about slugging it to go for the generator, choosing to ignore the safer win condition, going for the safer tie condition, going for the win condition, trying to find Slamma. Vamp was the no mither survivor, there's no unbreakable allowed. You know if someone gets picked up or unhooked with no deliverance, that you know where Slamma is. Slamma just choosing to stealth this out. Hearing some progress on this generator. Unsure who was the one working on it. And all the way across the map from the hook, Slamma might be trying to save. Yeah, we do now see Slamma off in the distance. Will they be able to save Deco? They do not save Deco in time. And now we see Slamma zoned away from everything. You have a Z-wall to work with. Can you juke a Plague at a Z-wall? And you cannot. That is a 4K2 from Sympathy's Phantom to keep them in this match. Both teams stole the other team's pick. Reminiscent winning on Sympathy's Pyramid Head. Sympathy winning on Reminiscent's Plague. So now we'll be going to the tiebreaker unless some absolute miracle occurs. But what a tight match we've had so far. Both sides have had some ups and downs, some great plays, looping and macro, some tough decisions made, some beautiful saves. But what both of these teams have done is save themselves from getting 2-0'd, forcing it to go to tiebreaker, which is Demogorgon on Cold Tower 1. Thank you for being with us so late into the evening for a lot of you EST viewers, as we will now be seeing this game tick over to almost midnight EST by the time this is over. Sympathy will be killing first. We'll find out who that killer is very shortly. Make sure to come back. Welcome back to Reminiscent versus Sympathy. We have set 3, the tiebreaker of the best of 3, with Sympathy's Citro killing first against Reminiscent's Survivor Squad of Palito, Slamajamacama, Vamp, and Deco. We have a relatively standard demo set of add-ons, faster shred pallet breaks, and shorter cooldown after hitting survivors with shred, with Bamboozle, Corrupt Pain Res, and Agitation in the place of what some people would use for Pop Goes the Weasel. We've seen a couple of survivors not taking dedicated chase yet. Now we see a dedicated chase onto Vamp. Do we see the demo card tech? We do not. It's a little bit of zoning. We see a little bit of a mind game. Do you know the check spots? And yes, Vamp apparently does. So we did see Bamboozle used on the main building. That Bamboozle is now gone. Trying to catch this survivor off guard and try to get the correct direction to get a better Bamboozle. Choosing to leave Vamp up in the top side as Chase was staying in the corrupt zone for too long. Now we see Palito pre-running all the way to Shack. Citro once again leaving, spots another survivor who is once again pre-running extremely early, heading into this corrupt range with what appears to be alive from Slamajamacama. All the way up back into this corrupt. Here we have a chase onto Slamma, out of filler pallet, forcing the pallet drop with the shred, and choosing to zone very well, waiting to make sure that Slamma cannot go anywhere with the threat of getting hit. And here we have a quick shred, and with the Blackheart cooldown, that'll be a good 2-tap onto Slamma, as the first down and hook should be coming in before the first gen is done, and we'll see. I eat my words as the gen pops, but we have a nice central hook that is a pain res. Gonna be able to patrol this relatively well. We'll see. This pouch should still be up, but Vamp taking the long way around means that you don't get back to that car pallet. Citro misses the shred because Chase has gone so far away from the hook. The unhook comes in for free. And another missed shred, letting Vamp take the window into this tile. Great pathing by Vamp, but this should be able to zone them away from the main window. And a missed M1, trying to force the survivor away from this pallet. And Citro knowing exactly how to hit that shred onto the main building window, and bams it as well. Everybody else has been reset elsewhere. Now they have time to start cranking out some generators while this chase stays up on the top side. A second generator pops. Citro doing some renovations on main building, and both doors being broken by shred, so it's a little bit faster. And eating another pallet here in the middle of the map. Cold Tower 1 doesn't have too many pallets and resources. Demo is very good at shredding through those, both literally and with shred. But Citro eats the stun instead of the pallet, and choosing to leave Vamp. Looks like Citro's game plan is to hold this topside 4-gen for as long as possible and not give anything up for free. And now we see the first portal placement. 2 gens, 1 hook into the match. Starting to see portal set up as this 4 gens defined. See somebody upstairs main, breaks the third and I believe last big door, setting a portal as we saw survivor drop off. As the reset comes in, the survivors playing this extremely patiently. We do see somebody get cut out though, but with the firecracker and some good dodging, stalls a bit, but Deco does eventually get hit. Seeing this chase go Shack, Demo immediately drops a portal going straight back to main building. Again, does not care about bottom side, only cares about this top side 4-gen. And a good shred on to Palito. Now you have 2 ancient survivors. Enough pressure that you can start playing more heavily for these gens. These survivors getting the reset. Palito wouldn't have been there in time to get the reset. So you know that Idiko and one other survivor was down shack healing. Palito's there as well. But where's that last one? Not quite sure. One of those safe bottom side generators does now pop, and here's where you'll start to see the pain of no pop or eruption, as you're just gonna have pain res and dry kicks to hold this. Pain res isn't that strong in this 4-gen for an extended period of time because you only get 4 procs of it. That's where pop starts to get its value, but instead you choose to have agitation to get better hook control for this 3-gen. Choosing to activate another portal. Interesting choice, but that portal down on the bottom side gets cleansed. Doesn't seem to be too much of a bother to Citro, as these top portals is the priority. It just means now that Demo has 1 more portal to put in the area they care about, as they do catch 2 survivors off rotating down. This likely won't be a committed chase. They should just be a hit, but instead it's a whiff. Unless you're counting that wood as a hit. That is not Dead by Daylight. That's a different video game. And there's the hit on the actual target, Palito. Not to be confused with a pallet. But that is what is being dropped. Just like Chase. Citro heading back up to the top side. Saw that there were survivors starting to rotate back up. Not wanting to give anything up. This looks like this will be a long one with this tug of war safe play style. Takes another generator, starting to rack up those gen regression events as Palito gets healed. These survivors have an infinite amount of heals as long as they're safe. No ruin ticking down on gens, but a killer now only has 8 gen regression events per generator with the new anti-gen regression mechanism, as the survivors once again cleanse that bottom side portal. Citro seems to not care about that gen on the other side of main building as much, caring much more about this hard 3-gen than a loose 4-gen. The expected result for Demo is not to 4K, so even a 4K1 would be a great result. But right now, we're not looking at a 4K1, we're looking at 1 stage. A Citro trying to find a survivor out of position enough to be able to get a down and a hook in this 3-gen. We see that 4th gen and that loose 4-gen pop. Now you only have these 3 gens left. And we get Killer Instinct from the portal that a survivor's up on main building. That is the 3rd dry kick on this gen. You would be expecting the survivors to have the balanced landing survivor that appears to be Palito playing main building. Most of the other survivors playing for this gen. The one in the deep corner shouldn't be touched unless it's needed to, because it's going to be much more risky to work on because it's farther away from your safe shack side of the map. Here you have the live from Slamma and Citro immediately dropping Chase to go back to this generator in the tile. We have Chase on to Vamp at main building. This should be a shred at the window. Does not come through though, just too short. Once again, going back over to this generator in the tile. For those of you who know clock callouts, that tile with that generator is 10 o'clock, but not all viewers are aware of clock callouts. So I'll do my best to refer to these as main building and maze tile generator, as the one in the corner will likely not be touched. Once again, we see 2 survivors taking Chase, trying to run to the shack side of the map, taking 1 hit, maybe 2, but not on the same target. But Vamp choosing to go a little bit farther on the main side of the logs, as we do see a portal cleanse in the background, and now we have the hit tank from Slamma forcing the body block at the window. These survivors playing a little riskier as they are choosing to stay at this tile instead of running deep to shack, as the swing misses, but the second one will hit as Vamp chooses to donate a down to Citro. With agitation, this hook should be able to make it up to this maze tile, giving a lot more control for Demo. This is a fresh hook onto Vamp though, and we see the last gen pop as a result of that. Vamp choosing to sacrifice and bait Demo into the chase to make sure this last gen pops, and now what we're looking at is an M1, a mostly M1 killer. Demo's lunge isn't that strong with the two-stage game, but here we are gonna have the third down. There's no no-ed, no way out to help with this late game, and we just see Slamma being carried to basement. Slamma was already hooked once. This would be the third hook stage. If these survivors let Slamma die, that'll be 4 stages, and these survivors look perfectly fine with that result. That'll be 4 stages, 2 fresh is the tie condition. 4 stages, 3 fresh, or 5 stages will be the win con for Reminiscent's killing half. We'll see you shortly for the last match of the night. Thank you for sticking around for the last match of the night. Sympathy versus Reminiscent Demogorgon Cold Tower 1 tiebreaker set. The previous match set a tie condition of 4 stages, 2 fresh, as we see Reminiscent's Vamp starting to do some main building renovation to make it harder on these Sympathy survivors of Tippy, Citro, Phantom, and CEO. CEO running the neon yellow Yoichi. Gonna stick out like a highlighter, but Vamp choosing to leave it. We see the same add-ons as last match in a similar build, replacing Agitation with Pop Goes the Weasel, even with the easier win condition, choosing not to have no-ed or no way out, as we see a bit of Sky Demo coming around to catch up to the Phantom at the Ormond tile, and does manage to get the hit even with the pallet dropped. Instantly drops off a Phantom, looking at Tippy, looking at CEO over here at Water Tower. Chasing 2 survivors is better than 1 is the philosophy Vamp's looking at. And we see Vamp try to start a shred at the L wall and misses the one at the T. CEO of lurking, more like CEO of dodging. So we see Vamp wander all the way over here to Shack. See Citro in Shack, taking the long wall side as Phantom gets a reset. Citro gets the Shack vault, gets back to the long wall. This window might be risky against the Demo, chooses to go for the pallet instead, gets the 2-for-1 special of the hit and the pallet from Citro. And then we have this chase. I don't know if they were going over the pallet or through the pallet, but decided to take neither. As I was gonna say the chase goes all the way up to Corrupt, but Corrupt has ended. I'm trying to do some funny mind games with the BAM vault and catches Citro off guard just enough to be able to get the down on this main building side. This is where we saw a hard 3-gen last game on this main building side. And we'll see a pretty rough one as well, as that gen is not part of this 3-gen. We see 1 in main building, 1 in this hill corner, 1 in the filler corner. And Vamp gets a hook right in the middle of it behind main building. To the untrained eye, that looks just like a hook on the edge map. But to any comp player who knows Cold Tower 1, that is the perfect hook you're looking for. Behind main building and a pain res, while you still have a perfect 3-gen up. The only thing you could have asked for better was that hill facing the other direction, but beggars can't be choosers. You already got blessed RNG from the killer side, as we do see an unhook coming through for Citro, as the second gen pops off in the distance, not part of this 3-gen that Vamp is probably going to try to hold. As we see the main building corner piece get dropped, that car tile, and it's broken. We see scratch marks. We'll see what survivor this is. This is the injured Citro. We will see a hit tank come in from Phantom to get Citro at least to the bottom side of the map out of this 3-gen, even if a down comes in. Here's where you start thinking about for the people and head-on saves, trying to get this chase a little bit longer, as we see a 3rd-gen coming in. And there's the down. Is anyone here for the pallet save, the flashlight save? Here's a firecracker. Does not land its mark. And now we're going to see this second hook onto Citro in this relatively top middle area. Close enough to the 3-gen that Vamp can patrol all of these areas, but not an ideal hook location. Phantom gets reset by somebody, likely on the shack side of the map, and we see CEO over here trying to start breaking this 3-gen as the unhook does come through. Vamp will instantly leave chase, look around at all the targets, sees all 4 survivors at the same time. A beautiful sight for killer, and looks at everyone, and you'll never guess who they're going for. Going back to the tunnel out, looking at Citro, chasing Shack. This is going to be a big risk from Vamp. Choosing to drop into basement? Is that a mind game? It's a mind game I have not seen before. Apparently it works. If you get this shred, that's going to be a very good tunnel out timing. But the counter basement tech and gets the vault. If Citro was balance landing, if someone can confirm that that was balance landing, I'm waiting for someone to tell me if that was a balance landing play, because that was just enough to get out of Shack. I was just enough of a dodge with basement to proc live and get out of that sticky situation. And now because the chase was at Shack, it gave time for this 3-gen to pop, giving this survivor squad hope. Again, the tie condition is 4 stages too fresh. And you now have a 4v1, everyone healthy, with a super split 3-gen. You have all the way at main, all the way at Shack. Looping at Godrock, is Godrock right next to Shack. Phantom taking chase. Trying to crouch tech, doesn't get it, but makes it the LT wall. And here's where the killers and survivors are going to start doing math. If Phantom goes down, they'll have to try to save them. If Citro goes down, they won't have to. But it looks like Phantom will be going down. If this hook comes through, that will be 3 stages too fresh. And here is the hook. And again, this is where we start talking about that again. No Noed. No way out. This is what the survivors have to do to get the win condition. No more hook stages. You have to rescue Phantom. You have to get 4 out. To get the tie, you can let 1 stage go through if it's Phantom or Citro's 2nd or 3rd, but nobody else. If Tippy or CEO go on a hook, that is a loss. If you don't get this save at all, or Tippy or CEO get put on a hook, there's a win for Vamp and Reminiscent. These survivors working on these gates, trying to split the killer's attention. Looking like they might let Phantom hit 2nd. Are they coming for the save now? Here's your last chance for the win. They opened the door. There's Phantom hitting 2nd stage. Is now a tie at 4 stages too fresh. If these survivors get out now, One hit on the Tippy, 2 survivors going for the save, and the chase goes after the Tippy, but CEO is aware. They see Vamp going after Tippy. CEO of understanding the win condition, knowing that if Tippy goes down and hooked, it's over. Another body block comes through. Phantom has to live. And Phantom takes it down the hook. Reminiscent wins this. The survivor is trying to heal to get body blocks in, but it's not fast enough. Phantom gets downed. Tippy leaves, Citro leaves. And that will be the 5th stage for Reminiscent. And as long as my math is correct, that means Reminiscent will take set 3. Reminiscent will take the set and the match. It was a 2-1 by Reminiscent as the last match of the weekend for Grindhouse. We will see you next weekend for week 2, including both of these teams for the remainder of the Massacre group stage.